My alien diary. I watched a human sleep. What happened next changed me. The silent observer. The gentle hum of Earth's atmospheric composition filters through my specialized breathing apparatus as I begin today's observational log. My name is Zara Nix, xenoanthropologist of the Lemnian Science Academy, stationed on this blue planet for what was meant to be routine research. I pause, my six-fingered hand hovering over my data tablet as I compose my thoughts. Personal log, Earth Cycle 47, Phase 3. Tonight marks my 12th observation of the human subject designated as Dominic Reed. The biorhythmic patterns of human sleep continue to fascinate me in ways our preliminary research never prepared me for. As I write this, he lies in his sleeping chamber, completely vulnerable, entirely unaware of my presence thanks to our cloaking technology. There is something profoundly intimate about observing a being in such an unguarded state. My species, the Lemnians, rarely sleep in the human sense. Our consciousness merely shifts to secondary neural pathways while our primary consciousness remains alert. This complete surrender to unconsciousness that humans require, it seems both terrifyingly vulnerable and strangely beautiful. I shift my position in the corner of his dwelling, careful not to disturb the carefully calibrated equipment monitoring his brainwave patterns. My skin, with its natural violet luminescence, is fully suppressed by my observation suit, leaving me invisible in the darkness. Dominic stirs in his sleep, his face contorting briefly before relaxing again. I make a quick notation on my tablet. Subject exhibits rapid eye movement consistent with dream state. Facial micro-expressions suggest emotional processing. Fascinating how humans continue such complex neural activities while essentially unconscious. The room is sparse but contains curious artifacts of human life, framed images of other humans, likely family units, small decorative objects with no apparent function, and books made of actual processed plant material. These physical manifestations of memory storage seem wildly inefficient compared to our crystalline data matrices, yet they possess a tactile quality that seems important to humans. Dominic's breathing pattern shifts suddenly, becoming more rapid. My instruments detect an elevation in his heart rate and cortisol levels. A nightmare, perhaps? I lean forward, scientifically intrigued. Subject appears to be experiencing stress responses during REM cycle. Note increased perspiration and muscle tension. Query: do humans retain emotional imprints from negative dream experiences upon waking? What happens next defies all protocols of non-interference that form the backbone of our research methodology. As Dominic's distress intensifies, something unexpected occurs, a psychic resonance bridges the gap between us. This shouldn't be possible. My species possesses limited empathic abilities, but they've never activated with non-Lemnian life forms. Yet here I am, suddenly awash in his fear, disjointed images of falling, of losing someone, of desperate reaches that grasp only empty air. The intensity overwhelms my emotional barriers, sending my heart racing in unwanted synchronicity with his. No. Please. Dominic murmurs, his voice heavy with sleep but laden with distress. Before I can process the ethical implications, my body moves of its own accord. I deactivate my cloaking field and approach his bed. My natural bioluminescence casts a soft violet glow across the room. I hesitate, then place my six-fingered hand gently on his forehead. Be calm, I whisper, my translator converting my native harmonic tones to human English. It is only a dream. His eyes snap open. For one perfect, terrifying moment, we stare at each other, alien to human, researcher to subject, stranger to stranger. I should flee. I should reactivate my cloaking. I should follow any of the 17 emergency protocols for compromised observation. Instead, I remain, my hand still on his forehead, my empathic abilities still inexplicably connected to his emotional state. Am I still dreaming? He asks, his voice hoarse. No, I answer truthfully. I am quite real. Instead of screaming or showing fear, Dominic's expression shifts to wonder. You're beautiful, he says, his eyes fixed on my luminescent skin. The observation has no scientific value, yet it triggers unexpected synaptic responses in my neural pathways. I've never been described as beautiful by another species before. The concept shouldn't matter to me. I apologize for revealing myself, I say, withdrawing my hand and stepping back. You were experiencing what your kind calls a nightmare. I intervened improperly. Dominic sits up slowly, rubbing his eyes as if to ensure I won't disappear when he looks again. You've been watching me? For research purposes, I clarify quickly. I am a xenoanthropologist. I study other sentient species. You study us while we sleep? There's no accusation in his tone, only curiosity. Sleep is particularly interesting. Your kind becomes completely defenseless for approximately 1/3 of your life cycle. It defies evolutionary logic yet remains essential to your functioning. Dominic's lips curve upward, a smile I recognize from my studies. I guess it would seem strange to someone who doesn't need it. Your nightmare, I say, changing the subject. It appeared distressing. His expression clouds. I keep dreaming about my brother. He died last year. I couldn't save him. This disclosure feels significant, though I'm uncertain why. Your unconscious mind continues processing this loss even after substantial time has passed. That's how grief works for us. He studies me openly now. Do your people not experience loss? The question penetrates deeper than intended. We experience it differently. More, collectively. Less individually. I pause, aware I'm sharing more than scientific exchange requires. But yes, we know loss. A silence stretches between us, neither uncomfortable nor comfortable, simply new. Will I remember this tomorrow? He asks. Or will you make me forget somehow? I possess no such ability, I admit. Though my superiors would likely prefer if you believe this encounter was merely another dream. Dominic nods slowly. But it's not, is it? No. This is happening. Another silence, filled with implications neither of us fully comprehend. What's your name? He finally asks. Protocol dictates I should not answer, yet I find myself responding, Zara. Zara Nix. I'm Dominic. Though you probably already knew that. Yes. He shifts slightly, making room on the edge of his bed. Would you like to sit, Zara? Since we're breaking all the rules anyway. I hesitate, then accept his invitation, perching carefully on the edge of his sleeping platform. This changes the parameters of my research significantly. Into something more interesting, I hope, he says, that smile returning. Indeed. I find myself experiencing a fluttering sensation in my secondary circulatory system, a physiological response typically associated with excitement or anticipation among my kind. So, Dominic says softly, tell me about the stars you come from. And so I do. As Earth's rotation continues and night gradually surrenders to dawn, I describe the crystal spires of lumina, the double moons that cast prismatic light across our silicon forests, the harmonics of our communication patterns. In return, he speaks of human dreams, not just the nightmares but the hopeful ones, the impossible ones, the ones that drive his species to continually reach beyond their limitations. Addendum to Personal Log, Earth Cycle 47, Phase 3. I came to study humans while they sleep, seeking to understand their vulnerability. Instead, I have discovered something unexpected. There is remarkable strength in this vulnerability, in their willingness to surrender consciousness and trust they will return to themselves. Perhaps even more remarkable is their capacity to welcome the unknown, to wake and find an alien presence at their bedside, and respond not with fear but with an invitation to connection. The Academy will undoubtedly recall me for this breach of protocol. My research will be considered compromised. Yet I cannot bring myself to regret this night. Something fundamental has shifted in my understanding of interspecies relations. In watching Dominic Reed sleep and wake, I have witnessed something my scientific instruments could never quantify, the moment when two beings from different worlds choose curiosity over fear, connection over isolation. For the first time in my research career, I find myself changed by my subject. This was not in any protocol. This was not predicted by any model. Yet here I am, irrevocably transformed by a single night of watching a human sleep, and more significantly, by what happened when he woke. Wavelengths of understanding. Military log, Earth Observation Mission Day 94, Commander Thalo Vex reporting. The artificial lighting in this human research facility continues to irritate my photosensitive ocular membranes. I make another adjustment to my optical filters as I settle into my observation post, carefully positioned within the ventilation system above Laboratory 7. My mission parameters are clear: assess human resilience and adaptability under pressure, specifically focusing on their scientific personnel. My subject tonight is Dr. Lyra Novak, lead researcher on a regenerative medicine project that has caught the attention of the Cretan High Command. The humans remain unaware that their technological developments are being monitored by multiple extraterrestrial civilizations. From my military perspective, this ignorance is both a strategic advantage and a liability. Dr. Novak works late again, the third consecutive night cycle. I observe how she moves through the laboratory, her motions economical yet somehow fluid in a way that differs from Cretan biomechanics. My exoskeleton provides superior strength and protection, but lacks the organic grace her softer form possesses. Computer, run simulation series 14 again, she commands, rubbing the back of her neck. The holographic display before her shifts, showing cellular structures regenerating after catastrophic damage. I make a notation in my field report: subject demonstrates extraordinary persistence despite obvious physical fatigue. Query: is this characteristic of all humans or specific to scientific castes? The Cretan Empire has always maintained that our military superiority stems from our biological advantages: enhanced strength, protective exoskeletons, multiple redundant systems. Yet watching Dr. Novak work through her obvious exhaustion challenges some of my fundamental assumptions. There is strength here of a different sort. She speaks to herself as she works, another curious human habit that initially struck me as inefficient but now seems to serve some cognitive purpose. The neural pathway integration is still failing at the 60% threshold, she mutters, manipulating the holographic cells with practiced gestures. If I can't get the neurons to maintain connectivity through the regeneration phase, the treatment is useless for spinal injuries. I shift position, careful not to create vibrations in the metal ductwork. Something about her words resonates with me unexpectedly. My mission brief described this research as potentially weaponizable technology, but her focus appears entirely humanitarian. She seeks to heal, not harm. Hours pass. I maintain my surveillance, noting the declining efficiency in her movements as fatigue accumulates. Humans require regular sleep cycles, a biological weakness my species has evolved beyond. Yet despite this limitation, she continues. At 0247 hours, it happens. Dr. Novak's head slowly lowers until it rests on her forearms at the workstation. Her breathing pattern shifts to the slower rhythm characteristic of human sleep. The simulation continues running without her input, casting blue-green light across her now passive form. Standard protocol dictates I should simply observe. Yet I find myself descending silently from my position. My mission parameters include understanding human vulnerability. Experiencing it up close seems justifiable. I approach on 6 legs, moving with the silence my military training has perfected. Up close, Dr. Novak appears even more fragile. The thin membranes of her eyelids flutter slightly, REM sleep, according to our briefings. Her mind remains active even as her body surrenders to biological necessity. An unfamiliar sensation courses through my central nervous system, something approximating what humans might call protectiveness. In this state, she could be eliminated with minimal effort. Any number of hostile species could exploit such vulnerability. The thought troubles me in ways my military training has not prepared me for. I extend one appendage, the sensor pads detecting the thermal signature of her skin from centimeters away. Her breathing remains steady, unaware of how close an alien observer stands. What drives you? I whisper in my native clicking language, knowing she cannot hear or understand. What makes your kind push beyond your limitations, despite your fragile construction? The laboratory doors suddenly whoosh open. I activate my photonic displacement field instantly, rendering me invisible to human perception. A security guard performs a perfunctory sweep of the room, notices Dr. Novak sleeping, and sighs. "Working yourself to death again, Doc," he mutters, before leaving her undisturbed. Curious behavior. On Kresha, such dereliction of duty would result in immediate disciplinary action. Here, there seems to be an understanding, perhaps even respect, for her exhaustion. I remain, maintaining my invisibility while contemplating this new data point. The human's willingness to accommodate biological necessity rather than punish it suggests a value system distinctly different from Kreshan military doctrine. The facility's alarm system activates without warning, jarring Dr. Novak awake. Red emergency lights pulse throughout the laboratory. Warning: environmental containment breach in Laboratory 5. All personnel evacuate immediately, announces the facility's AI. Dar. Novak is instantly alert, her transition from sleep to full consciousness impressively rapid. She moves toward her computer terminal, fingers flying across the interface. "Computer, show me Lab 5 status." The display reveals another laboratory where containment fields flicker around what appears to be a pathogenic sample. I recognize the danger immediately. If those fields fail completely, everyone in this research wing could be exposed. My mission parameters are clear: observe only, do not interfere. Yet Dr. Novak is heading toward the contamination zone, not away from it. Military judgment overrides protocol. I deactivate my camouflage field, materializing directly in her path. "Stop," I command, my translator converting my clicks to English. Her reaction is immediate: shock, followed by fear, then something entirely unexpected: scientific curiosity. Even facing an armed alien twice her size, the researcher in her registers first. "You need to evacuate," I continue. "The pathogen in Laboratory 5 will breach containment in approximately 43 seconds. How do you, who are," she shakes her head, prioritizing the immediate threat. "No, there are researchers in Lab 5. I have to override the containment protocols remotely. The probability of success is minimal. The risk to your life is unacceptable." Her eyes narrow. "You've been watching me?" "Yes." "For how long?" "That is irrelevant to the current emergency." The facility's AI interrupts: 30 seconds to complete containment failure. Dr. Novak makes a decision, sidestepping me with surprising agility. "If you want to help, fine. Otherwise, stay out of my way." I could physically restrain her with minimal effort. My exoskeleton provides strength she cannot match. Yet something in her determination stays my appendages. "What do you require?" I ask instead. She barely glances up from her terminal. "I need to get into the emergency override system, but it requires biometric authorization from 2 senior staff, and I'm the only one here." I move beside her, assessing the system. "Your security is penetrable. You can hack it?" "Affirmative." "Then do it." I extend specialized appendages from my forelimbs, interfacing directly with the human technology. Primitive, but functional. Within seconds, I've bypassed their security protocols. 15 seconds to containment failure, announces the AI. Dr. Novak's fingers dance across the interface as soon as I grant her access. Activating secondary containment field, rerouting power from non-essential systems, initiating nanite scrubbers. The alarm suddenly silences. The emergency lights cease their pulsing. Containment restored. Biohazard neutralized, the AI announces. Dr. Novak exhales slowly, then turns to face me fully for the first time. Her eyes move methodically over my exoskeleton, my multiple limbs, the breathing apparatus that processes Earth's oxygen-rich atmosphere into something my respiratory system can utilize. You saved lives, she says simply. Thank you. You would have attempted the same action without my assistance, at greater risk to yourself. Yes. Why? The question seems to surprise her. Because people would have died otherwise. People you know? Some colleagues, yes. Some strangers. You would risk your life for strangers? She studies me with unexpected intensity. Wouldn't you? The question disrupts my thought patterns. The Cretan military operates on clear hierarchies of value, some lives worth more than others, some risks justified only for certain objectives. I am unsure, I admit. Her expression softens. You've been watching me work, haven't you? That's why you're here. I am Commander Thalo Vex of the Cretan Empire. My mission is to observe human resilience and adaptability. By watching me sleep at my desk. There's no accusation in her tone, merely curiosity. By observing your dedication to your research. The sleep was incidental. She nods slowly. And what have you learned, Commander? The question requires careful consideration. That human strength manifests differently than expected. That your biological limitations, your need for sleep, your relatively fragile constitution, have not prevented your species from achieving remarkable technological advancement. That perhaps. I pause, finding myself in unfamiliar conceptual territory. Perhaps there is wisdom in vulnerability that my culture has not recognized. Dr. Novak smiles, a facial expression I've studied but never had directed at me before. Would you like to see what I'm working on? Really see it, not just from a ventilation duct. Protocol dictates I should withdraw, report this compromised operation to my superiors. Instead, I find myself responding, I would. She gestures me toward her workstation, all fear apparently forgotten. I'm developing a neural regeneration therapy for spinal injuries. The Cretan Empire might have military applications in mind, but I'm trying to help people walk again. As she explains her research, I realize my perception of humanity is undergoing a fundamental revision. They are not merely study subjects or potential adversaries, they are beings who face their biological limitations not with denial but with ingenuity, who transform vulnerability into connection, who pursue knowledge not despite their fragility but perhaps because of it. You should rest, I finally say, interrupting her explanation. Human neurological efficiency decreases approximately 27% after extended periods without sleep. She laughs, another human expression I've observed but never experienced directly. The sound creates unusual resonances in my auditory receptors. Are you worried about me, Commander? Concern for research subjects is not within standard protocol, I respond automatically. But, she prompts. But I find myself interested in your continued well-being. Dr. Novak's expression transforms into something I cannot immediately classify. How long will you be observing Earth? My mission parameters allow for extended deployment if valuable data continues to emerge. Then perhaps we could help each other. You want to understand human resilience. I could use someone who can hack security systems and who apparently doesn't need sleep. You are proposing cooperation. This deviates from all expected outcomes. I'm proposing a wavelength of understanding between different species. Isn't that more valuable than just watching from a distance? I consider her offer, aware that accepting would transform my mission into something unauthorized yet potentially more profound. Yes, I finally respond. I believe it would be. Addendum to Military Log, Earth Observation Mission Day 94. I have made unauthorized contact with the human subject. Standard protocol would dictate immediate extraction and mission termination. I am instead implementing the rarely used Clause 17.3, which permits field commanders to pursue unexpected intelligence opportunities at their discretion. Dr. Lyra Novak has fallen asleep at her workstation again. This time, however, she does so knowing I maintain watch from a nearby position. There is a curious strength in this willingness to be vulnerable in the presence of a being so physically different from herself. The Crucian Empire prides itself on never showing weakness. Yet tonight I have witnessed how acknowledging one's limitations, even embracing them, can create possibilities for connection that strength alone cannot achieve. Perhaps there is more to learn from these humans than our military council anticipated. They sleep, they dream, they wake, and in that cycle of vulnerability and renewal, they discover things my always vigilant species might never imagine. End log entry. Commander Thalo Vex, continuing mission with modified parameters.